Hi everyone, Carlo here. I'm a certified life coach and counselor, and I want to welcome you guys to another episode of The Crossover. Thank you so much for tuning in, and for today's episode, wow, we are going to talk about the sun and what's about to happen with the sun in terms of an event that's going to take place with an energetic pulse that's going to happen real soon, and hopefully it's going to change the very fabric, the very nature of our reality as we know it. So, and this change that's about to take place, I mean, there's so many names for it, you know, and at the same time, there's so much excitement going on with what we may think or may not happen. So we really don't know until it happens. So it's very humbling for me to do the show with you guys, and, you know, exciting for me at the same time to look everything with a grain of salt and from a scholarly point of view, and someone who's been completely obsessed with this for so long, like 6 or 7 years. I'm very open about that, and, you know, I'm very open to many different interpretations out there of what this may be, and I try to be objective as I can with you guys sharing the show, and because we really don't know until we experience this event. Whatever that is, I mean, if we want to call it the event in itself, the shift, the wave, the solar flash, the solar sneeze, there's so many names for it. And even like in the ancient traditions of the Zoroastrian spiritual traditions of the FASSounds, they call it the divine fire. From the Bible, they call it the rapture. Even now, there's like many names for it, like the kiss from the sun as another example, you know, which is like a super cool title that I recently stumbled upon, watching from like a recent QHHT session facilitated by Sophia Love. And yeah, the kiss from the sun, that's actually, that's an amazing title. And, you know, thank you, Sophia, for a wonderful session that you posted from your channel. And, but yeah, so getting back to the sun, I mean, there's so many correlations that culminate into this solar event. And even though each reference has their own approach of interpretation, let's say, we cannot deny anymore from the overwhelming amount of information that's been coming in and day out. And, you know, from all the channelings, all the ancient prophecies, and so many hypnotherapy sessions that are coming out right now. And we even have like actual scientific data from researchers and scientists like Dr. Alexei Dmitriev, telling us that we are entering in a much more energetically charged area within our universal space. So he explains it as this cloud that will flood our entire atmosphere with smoke and all this other stuff, like the geomagnetic storms that's occurring in our planet. And not just that, but our whole entire solar system. So, and everything as well in terms of like the climatic and seismic events going on in our own planet. So this whole thing, it cannot be denied anymore. And we just have to look at it for what it is, guys, and, you know, to discern, to do our research on our own, and to even within the deepest parts of your heart, you know, you just have to find whatever that's within you to feel something that, you know, it's going to happen, and something big is about to happen, something monumental and rare that doesn't really have to look at it for what it is, and to what you think and what you know truthfully of how it's going to go down. And all we can do is just like experience this and appreciate this and just do what we can to prepare. And also, you know, we feel it, guys. So, you know, it's just an amazing time to be alive, and so grateful just to share this with you guys, and hopefully we can be of service and, you know, share this information with a guest I'm going to be introducing right now. So, so for this episode specifically, I wanted to bring another perspective and bring in a guest that actually has been to the other side. And not once, not twice, not thrice, but 4 times. And from these near-death experiences that he experienced, or you can call it NDEs, in short, he was not only able to go through the other side and experience these things in a different dimensional aspect, you can say, in a more lighter reality or a higher reality. But he was able to receive these downloads that were so clear and so accurate, that what's going to happen about the sun is so magnificent, so monumental. And I really wanted to have him on here on the show to talk about it. And there's so many interpretations of it. You can call it the event, you can call it the solar flash, the solar sneeze. And for my guest here for today, I wanted to come in to the show because it ties in so accurately to what we've been discussing so far in the crossover. And I just feel compelled to reach out to him and to have his perspective on it. And, now I'm just so thrilled and excited to have him here on the show. And not only that he experienced things on the other side, but he's also just this incredible scholar. And has so many great insights about consciousness and, helping people be more aware of that. And of course, he's experienced actual things on the other side, which I know that you guys, everyone listening, will be able to benefit from. So I hope this interview, we can both be of service to everyone listening, and, with the information bringing forth today and disseminating that, and ultimately prepare for what's to come. So Joshua Dharma, Josh, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I've been wanting to invite you on the show for so long. And, I just want to say, first and foremost, I was made aware of you from an interview that you did with, I think it was Justin from Stillness in the Storm.
Yes.
And for you guys in Stillness, I appreciate you guys so much for the work that you do and bringing me aware to Josh. So you guys do such a great work over there. And, every time I listen to that interview, or every time I listen to the podcast that you do with Casper, Josh, it's like I feel like I'm in Ecuador, like in this. I visualize myself in this little bonfire with a little tribe, and all the stories that you tell. It's just so fascinating to me, and just the insights that you give us. It's like we're all I look at myself and just roasting up marshmallows and just with our eyes glued.
But basically, we had a lot of campfires here, and me and Casper, we've been having some epic conversations about all kinds of things. And several times it was like we were sitting on the porch and looking at the mountains, and sometimes a UFO flies by the fire, and we're just talking all these good stories. And at one point, Casper, he was like, hey, dude, we gotta record this. We gotta let's just start recording this. So, we are kind of trying to take our social friend, awesome fairy tale reality and bring it on podcast, on video, and bring it out there to the world, because it's beneficial. We are having a great time, and I'm sure there's other people out there who's going to appreciate having a great time with us. So that's what happened now.
Yeah, that's so wonderful, because that's another reason why I wanted to bring you on the show, because you bring out not just the information that's so scientific, but you bring so much joy and inspiration, and it's just, we need that right now. It's good to just hear the scientific part of the information, but when you have somebody who's passionate and somebody who's experienced these things and just want to bring this out there, to bring this information with a different perspective, and make it fun too. Everyone's gonna listen to that.
And I would say that a lot of people who are bringing out very useful information, they are at the same time, they're a little too serious, in my opinion. I think it's very important we learn how to laugh and have fun, and understand what all this whole thing, what it's all about. It's like, it is a game, it's a play, and we are participating in this, and we have deliberately chosen to forget lots of things so we can play fully with all our hearts invested in this. But it is important to smile and laugh and have fun, and not take oneself or anything too seriously. You can't be in your heart and dream from your heart and be conscious from in your heart if you're taking everything so serious. It has to be playful, like a child. Keep the innocence. You need to keep your innocence in this process. It's very important.
And I love that you mentioned that, because that's one of the questions that I want to ask you, the importance of speaking from your heart and being with your heart. So, but before we get to any of that, and before we get any updates on the event and the sun, and I want to ask you, like, right off the bat, for our audience there, and our general audience in general, because we spoke about sharing your story, and I could honestly never get enough of this story about your first NDE or your desk experience. So I was wondering, before we dive into any of that, I was wondering if you can preface real quick and just share your story of what happened to you when you're 3 years old and experiencing that.
Yeah. So the first time I died, it was I drowned in a swimming pool. My parents were visiting some friends, and they were at a party, and they brought me, and those friends were like wealthy enough to have a swimming pool. And I was playing in this, I don't even know in English terms, what is that when it's like a inflatable ring with air in it? Like, so you're floating on the water. And I was a little kid, and I had this inflatable ring around me, and I was playing with this little toy boat in front of me. And I don't know what happened, but suddenly, I just flipped through it. I went through it, and then I sank down to the bottom of the swimming pool. And basically, I saw the water was far away, and suddenly you need the urge to breathe comes no matter what. And so I was breathing in, trying, and what came in my lungs was water instead. And I remember it was extremely painful. And I remember a white light exploding in my chest, and I realized my heart and my lungs were so closely connected. And so when my lungs got full of water, my heart stopped. And then everything turned into white light. And I was not a 3-year-old baby anymore. I was pure consciousness, pure awareness in a world where everything is energy, and there's forms and shapes, but it's all energy. It's all just energy. There's no physical matter per se in that way, in that sense. And so this is now, I was 3 years old back then, so I didn't write it down or anything. It's like I was so little, so it's just an experience. So I go from memory of that. I remember I had more details coming in with the other near-death experiences. But there I was, on the other side, I was shown the ascension process that's about to happen to humanity. And as a 3-year-old, I mean, back on the other side, you're not a 3-year-old. You're fully conscious, fully aware. You have all information available. At one point there was this great being that came to me, and we merged. And I don't know if it was a higher self part of me, or if it was another being that just like a guide or something. But we merged. It felt like in physical 3D, it feels like giving a big hug. But in that world, it feels like merging, becoming one with. And the moment that happened, I had full memory recall. I remembered everything, who I was and why I was there, and everything. Everything was available. And I saw the whole ascension process, and what is called the solar flash, and awakening of humanity, golden age, all that stuff. I saw the whole thing. I got the whole download, all the details. And then I actually, one thing that it was very important for me to experience was that once I had this full memory of what everything was, I realized that I really, 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 really want to be in that body on the planet right now. I mean, it was like a unique opportunity, and I realized I was so grateful. It was like winning the lottery times a million, and I was just like super excited. I really want to get back, and I was like, the passion, the love, the excitement was so big. It was amazing, and I realized how privileged we are to be here in a body right now on this planet. It may not feel like that when you're only in 3D and this is all you see and all you hear and all you know. But from that perspective, I was super excited. So I was like, oh, wow, okay, I'm going to go back into the body. And at the same time, because you have this multidimensional awareness, I also knew my body was being pulled out of the swimming pool, and they were pumping out the water from the lungs, and they were giving me first aid. My mom actually jumped in the pool with her dress and everything, and she was educated in what's called first aid or CPR.
CPR, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the moment when I decided, like, oh wow, I should go back into the body, I could see the body was starting to get air again, and heart was beating, and so I just went into the body like a smooth rotational motion. It was like it's kind of like when you go into bed, you're like you enter the bed with your face first, but then when you get into the bed, you're turning around and and laying down, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like what I did. I just went head first, and then I just turned around and kind of laid myself into the body, and then I took a breath, like, and then I started screaming because I could see it was extremely painful. It was much more painful to come back to the body than it was to leave it, because the soul, or the essence of who you are, actually leaves the body just a little bit before it dies. And so you're not really experiencing the worst part of the dying, but when you come in, you're experiencing all of it. Like the whole part of coming back is
my God.
Yeah, it was really intense. And so, and I was damaged from the water in my lungs. So they put me in an oxygen tent for 2 weeks where I had to recover. And basically I had a lot of this, the experiences I had on the other side came with me in. And so I had this knowledge as a 3-year-old, and I couldn't even talk. Like, I was totally like, so. And so how do you talk about this when you're 3 years old? And so,
Yeah.
I'm 46 now, so that was 43 years ago, and nobody was talking about any of all this. And so I remember growing up feeling really, really weird about the world. I was just like, why is everybody pretending that they are real? Why is everybody so serious? And how come? And also, I came in with a full package of super clairvoyant abilities. I could feel everybody's feelings. I could hear their thoughts. And it's like I was talking to beings, like light beings in my room. And like, it was full on. And so I was growing up, like, and when I was like 5, 6, 7 years, I started talking to my parents and telling them, "Hey, this is a very special incarnation." For some reason, I knew a bit. I mean, they even told me, like, they gave me my name, right? And I told them, "No, that's not my name. My name is blah blah blah." And so I told another name, and that was because I had a memory from another incarnation that I felt more connected to. So I was so pissed off at them for giving me the wrong name.
It's so funny.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I grew up in the family, and they were just like, okay, he's a little weird, but it's okay. It's just
Yeah, everyone in this journey is a little bit eccentric, so there's nothing wrong with that. And
yeah,
it's wow. It's just I always feel validated when you share that story, because there's so many accounts of near-death experiences and seeing the white light, and people are having dreams now about the whole ascension process and about the sun and the solar flash, and it's just so amazing to hear the story from you every time, because it correlates with so much data with everything going on right now. And you said that
and you should see the contrast, like, because I knew since I was a small kid, right, and because of that. The contrast from how the world is today and what it was back then, the contrast is so huge for me, because back then everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody, like, there was no talk of Mayan calendars and galactic years and all that stuff. There's no golden age, all that stuff, completely unknown. And I was running around talking about it, and I was like, well, there's something big's going to happen, and I don't know when, but it's really, really big, and blah, blah. And it's like, and everybody's like, oh yeah, chill out. And then suddenly there come a little bit of science out, like from the Mayan calendar, 2012, and suddenly, and that was like That was already in the 90s, I think. And people started talking about it. And I was like, well, maybe this is it, what I was shown, I think that's it. And so then suddenly the collective consciousness has now been catching up, and now it's in our collective consciousness, people dreaming, as you said, dreaming about it and having all kinds of downloads and so much information coming out. And so for me, it's a confirmation that what I was shown on the other side before anybody spoke about it is now something everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people is talking about it now. So I know this is like, okay, it's not just me being insane here. It's totally happening. And also, if you open your eyes and look around, you can see consciousness is changing. People are changing. Like if you hang out in any spiritual communities or New Age, anything, I mean, you will see that people are definitely changing. Something is cooking. And if you feel inside yourself, if you feel your internal reality, you can feel something is changing within you as well. And so it is I feel there's evidence everywhere.
Yeah. And I feel it more in my heart. And we had this great conversation yesterday about living from the heart. And, I want to ask you about that now. Why is it so important to live within the heart? Can you elaborate more on that? Or?
Yeah, because basically, when we live in our heads, if you look at the brain, it's two hemispheres. The brain is stuck in duality. The brain is always, so we can manifest things from our brains. Like you can manifest a Ferrari or something like that, but you're also going to manifest a traffic accident or a scratch or huge bills you can't pay or something, or somebody steals it. So it's like what people see with the whole manifestation and the law of attraction, all that stuff. A lot of it is so mental that what we don't see is we project if you look in front of your head, this is what we project and manifest, but what we don't see is what's coming from behind. So we always create in duality from our minds. So if you create one thing, you're gonna create the opposite as well. And that's why a lot of people's lives are not working. But if you go into the heart, there's something called the sacred space of the heart, or the tiny space of your heart. And it's actually mentioned in ancient Vedic scriptures thousands and thousands of years ago. So this is no new anything. But the heart is born in singularity. So if you manifest from singularity, you can only manifest something that is good for you and for humanity at the same time. It has to benefit all. That's how the heart manifests. So it's always in harmony with itself and its environment. And this is where true creation comes from. And from there, compassion, love, understanding, empathy, unity consciousness, all that is coming from there. And this is where we are going. We are not going to create heaven on earth whatsoever if we live in our minds and identify with our heads all the time.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I just want to add one more thing about that, because there's even scientific research now that the heart is 40 times more electrically charged than the brain. So if you're thinking with your heart, you're actually thinking more, with your purpose. And okay, there's a reason why I feel this way, and there's synchronicities leading up to all this, and why I feel the way I feel. And
I would say a very, very profound thing about the heart is, I'm not a Christian, and I'm not a Bible reader in any way, but I have an affinity for Jesus and for Buddha and Krishna and all of these people. And one thing he was saying is like, it's not my will be done, it's thy will be done. And the ego in duality, in the head, in the mind, is not going to like that. But the heart is all about surrender. And so you drop all your desires, you let go of all the things that you want and all that stuff. You just drop in a pure surrender for love and compassion. And then from there, you will find that the universe is conspiring to make you happy. And so it includes the ego self. And the ego self has no idea that actually there's a mechanism within itself in the deeper corridors of creation that is going to make the ego happy and the whole world happy. Everybody wins. And so it's kind of there has to be this letting go and dropping out and surrender before we can even talk about living in the heart.
Yeah, definitely. And you spoke about surrendering and letting go, and And you also spoke about the special time that we're all experiencing right now. And I kind of want to ask right off the bat, and when you went to the other side, you know that this is a special time right now. And I want to ask you, is there a reason why that today, right now, as of this moment, we're experiencing this? Or is it just a cyclical cycle that we're going through every 26,000 years? Or is there something special about this incarnation in particular?
It's always a special incarnation when you're about to experience an ascension event like this. That this is very special. On planet Earth, we have had lots of these ascension processes happening for civilizations and cultures, but not on a planetary scale for a long, 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 long time. And so this one is very special. And yeah, it is happening in cyclical processes. So because of my experiences since I was a kid, I have been doing a lot of research on this topic because my left brain, my scientific brain, also wants to understand what's going on. And so we have these movements with the galaxy, and the sun actually is pulsing I think it's we don't know for sure yet, but it's at least every 26,000 years there's a pulse. And on a galactic scale, if you look at a computer screen, it's actually flickering, right? It's a flicker, but we don't see it as flicker. We see it as steady because our perception of time is different. So we are living in a perception of time that makes this look steady. Now, if you take an insect who lives only for one day or something like that, they will maybe see the screen as flickering very, very dramatically, like a stroboscope, like for us or something like that. Now, it's the same thing on a galactic level. If you look at the sun and it pulses every 26,000 years, this is a flicker effect on a galactic scale. And maybe on such a large scale, that pulse of energy is actually its true energetic output. And then there's a break in between for 26,000 years, which we consider a long time, but it's not. Okay. And so if you can imagine stars out there in the galaxy that are flickering, that poof, 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 but it becomes a whole steady pulse of energy on a galactic scale. So that's what I saw. I've done some astral traveling and remote viewing and stuff like that when I was younger. In my 20s, I did a lot of that. And so I looked at that and I saw that. I tuned into the perception of time from the center of galaxy point of view. And it seemed like that.
Wow. That is so incredible. Wow. And wow, yeah. That's so fascinating just to hear that. And I kind of want to clarify, you talked about the pulse and a flicker and the flash from the sun. There's so much discussion right now of what's going to happen. And you mentioned it too, like we don't know what really is going to happen until we see it. And is it going to be something physical and tangible that we can actually see? Or is it just going to be like this energetic wave that's going to, or is it both?
Both.
Like, oh.
Yeah. It's going to be both because, first of all, science already know for a fact that the sun has changed the way it's burning its fuel. And they also know for a fact that DNA is changing right now. It's changing in all living matter, including plants and animals and everything. And so our DNA is changing right now. So the sun is dictating our DNA, how it's expressing itself. And there's a lot of beautiful scientific experiments completely showing that cosmic radiation is a huge player in how the DNA behaves. And as it is right now, the solar system is moving into an area of space that has a huge amount of cosmic radiation, like 500 different kinds of cosmic radiations. We don't even know what it is, amplified like crazy. And so, and at the same time, we have what is called a solar minimum. And because of the solar minimum, the magnetic field of the solar system is diminished, so more cosmic radiation can come in. And our magnetic field on Earth is also very low, so more cosmic radiation will come into Earth. So right now we are being bombarded with the amounts of cosmic radiation we haven't seen for the past 26,000 years. And so we are in a very weakened state in a very highly energetic area of space. We're moving into a whole new area of space right now. And so if you feel a little fried, now you know why.
Yeah, I think we all feel that.
Yeah. So basically, we are, our DNA is changing. It is happening right now. And this is just the beginning, because right now it's kind of being prepped for this. And the way I saw it on the other side, which is also, you can see there's a lot of people out there talking about it now, is a pulse from the sun, which is in all directions at the same time. It's not just a solar flare or something like. It's every single direction. Boom, and basically that pulse will hit Earth, go in through the poles of the Earth, the North and the South Pole, and then enter into the center of the Earth, and then it comes out through the ley lines and meridian points, the power spots and the mountains and different places on Earth. It's going to come out through, because also most of the Earth is actually crystalline in structure. So it comes out to the surface, and then we are the conduits of Father Sky and Mother Earth. So we are the in-between conduits, and we're going to be holding that energy, and it's going to run through us. And I don't know if you can imagine, but that's going to be pretty intense. That's going to be a lot of energy. It's going to be, for those who are ready, it's going to be orgasmic bliss. And and for those who are not ready, it's going to be a bad day for them. And it really depends on two things. One, is your nervous system able to hold this kind of energy? And that means you need to cleanse and purify your body and be prepared. And two, are you at service for self or a service for others? Because if you are a service for yourself, you are very much trapped inside ego paradigm, and the ego is going to go away. It's not going to go away, like disappear fully, but we're going to have a disidentification with ego construct. So we will shift our identity to become much more inclusive of the collective consciousness. And so that process can also be painful for someone who is deeply ingrained and heavily invested in ego land, as I call it. So it's like, we gotta have to do our homework. This is a big event, and it's you can live millions of lifetimes and not see this. And so this one is the real deal. It's coming, and we better, just get our shit straight. Just do the right thing, open up our hearts, cleanse and purify the body, and release all your traumas, your emotional baggage, and start helping others as much as possible.
Wow, that makes sense on all levels, because anything and everything is possible when this event comes, when this pulse comes. You see it physically, you feel it, the DNA is going to change. And you talk about the cloud, and there's a lot of QHHT sessions going around that when they first see it, they'll see like smoke coming from the atmosphere, and that's that could be the cloud, that could be the geomagnetic storms that is happening right now. And all of this information, that it's just anything and everything could be possible when this happens.
I'm actually already seeing, I'm at the equator now, up in the mountains, and so we are very close to the sun, and so it's pretty intense up here. But I have had days where I look out on the clouds and I see colors I haven't seen before. Very etheric colors, like up in the higher dimensional colors, like turquoise and pink, and some colors that I can't tell you what is, because they don't exist on this plane, but I can see that they're popping out more and more and more in the atmosphere. So there's something that we are definitely having a highly electrically charged atmosphere these days, and so I think we are getting close to something.
Yeah, we are definitely getting close. There's so much hype and so much discussion and so much excitement going around, and I hope it comes soon. I hope it comes very soon. And
yeah, for me, the sooner the better. I've been ready since I was 3 years old. So
yeah.
So I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
And
I think Mother Earth is taking her time, and the universe is taking its time because it wants to have as many with it ascending with us as possible, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
And that's the next question I wanted to ask you, Josh, because so for this question in general, I wanted to ask this based on the pattern I've seen from my comments and comment section from my previous episodes, and I've also had 2 clients who've talked about this, about what's been going on with their lives and these feelings that they've had like currently, and these feelings of excitement, this something that's waiting to happen. They're just waiting something to happen, or and I'll be honest, I'm one of those people that I'm kind of like, okay, we're in this state of limbo, and you're just like kind of waiting, and
I can feel it.
Yeah. And
but actually, I want to say something about that. If you understand sacred geometry and consciousness, how it moves, because these two are very closely related. If you take semantics, have you heard of semantics before? What that is?
I've heard of it, but not too much to an extent.
Okay, so basically, you can go on YouTube. You'll find they play a speaker, as a frequency from a speaker into a metal plate, and then they put sand on top of it, and then like, and they increase the frequency, and then basically every time it hits an harmonic, it goes into a specific sacred geometric pattern.
Oh yeah.
Very beautiful. And then when the frequency continues rising, it goes out of harmonic, and then it comes back into a new harmonic and creates an even more epic pattern. And so basically, there's several layers in this, but to know where you're going, first you have to understand where you are and where you have been. And this is why it's important to understand the true history of humanity. And then also understanding who you really are and what's going on the planet right now. So you need to understand the past and the present before you can go into the future, because the past and the present is helping you to translate into the future. That's one thing. The other thing is, every time you are in a disharmonic between 2 harmonics, you are in chaos and you are in degradation. It all falls apart and all that stuff. And this is where we are right now. So everything seems like it's really messed up. And it's true, it is messed up, but it's part of the process. We're going from one harmonic to another. Yeah. So we are becoming the Homus luminous, the instead of Homo sapiens, but it's not completed. It's not completed yet, and we're not ready yet. It was just about to be ready, and so we are in this limbo state, and it feels really like, oh man, come on, but it's part of the process. It's like you don't go from one harmonic to the other. You have to go in between first.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely good to know, because I feel like it's also a cleansing that we're going through and purging all these things that we experienced from the past and from now, because we can't get to the future unless we know exactly what we want and how to fix it and go from there. And I just want to send a quick shout out to all the comments for my episodes: Dustin Allman, Deborah from Peculiar Daughter, Lauren Powell, Dominic Barbas, and Carrie Downing. Thank you for sending up those questions and those comments. And is that tie in also to the solar minimum that you talked about, Josh? That's because we're acclimating to the sun's energies. Is that why everything in a state of limbo right now? Or
I think on a cosmic scale, it's a very deliberate thing that the sun is taking down its guards to let in more from the center of the galaxy and cosmic radiation.
I see.
And so I think it's all in alignment. It's in beautiful harmony. I mean, if you look at the whole solar system, it's been referred to as the music of the spheres. And if you look at the whole solar system, every single planet is sending out its own frequency and its own song. And so the whole solar system it's a symphony of music that is playing together. It has its own divine song that is playing, and the sun is the conductor. And so we are just being played like strings on a harp or something like that, the whole solar system. And so all this thing with climate change and all that stuff, it's happening on all the planets, all of them. There's climate change in the whole solar system, and it's not just on Earth. And so I think there's a divine intelligence that knows exactly what it's doing. Exactly.
Gosh. Yeah, well, it's the symphony's not The chord right now is pretty intense, but we're all kind of waiting for the next chord to play. And so you said when we're ready, when we're in alignment. I guess that's the biggest question that everyone's been wondering. You mentioned it earlier. It's close. Do you have any updates on maybe the time frame, or like any changes or any new insights that hasn't been previously mentioned before in your podcast or previous interviews? Or
well, all I can say is that I'm reading the signs, and it looks like it's really ramping up, and I'm actually surprised we're sitting here talking about it. I mean, I thought it would have happened a long time ago. But it's really ramping up now. So I don't have a timeline. I can't say anything for sure. Also, you have to remember, we're talking about Mother Earth and her ascension process. And she's like a feminine goddess. And if there's anything you can learn about women, it is that they are totally unpredictable, right?
Yeah. Just like the weather.
She's going to do whatever she wants to do whenever she wants to do it. And so, we're just in for the ride.
Yep.
But I sense in my gut and in my heart, I sense it's getting very close. I think I don't think it's going to take a long time from now. That's just my take right now. And so that's all I can say. I mean, I'm not having communications with some extraterrestrials who can tell me timelines or something like that. So I cannot say anything for sure.
Yeah, no, that's still reassuring no matter what, because if it's happening within our incarnation now, then that's all the validation you need. And I'm just so happy that it's going to happen regardless. And if it's close, if we all feel it, then okay, that's validation and more validation in itself. So
I mean, I can say this is not an official public prediction in any way or form, but my gut is telling me that I think 2023, 24, 25, I don't think we're going to see 2030. I don't think we're going to. I think in 10 years from now, I would be very surprised if I'm sitting here talking with you on a podcast.
Yeah. I'd still love it though, if whether or not we're going to be in the new Earth, or I'm still going to connect with all you guys, and it's just wonderful.
Well, we're all going to meet on the Cosmic podcast.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So speaking of Mother Earth and the new Earth, so from this timeline right now, from 2018 to 2023, or even beyond that, what you spoke about earlier about how the Earth is going to transition to the new Earth. And what do you see personally, and from your research, how do you see that happening, or what can we expect from the new Earth?
Okay, so basically, I can only draw from my own direct experiences on that. Everything else I would say would be from my research, and also what I read in books and I heard other people say and stuff like that. But here's one thing I'm having as an experience myself, and this is something that's been going on since I remember, actually. I have had times where I raise my frequency in this physical body in a very, 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 very dramatic way. And the moment I start doing that, it's very difficult to explain how I'm doing that. But I basically enter a new Earth, but it's up where the airplanes are flying. It's very high up. And I was always wondering about that. But anyway, I enter a new Earth up in the higher layers of this atmosphere. And I meet all my friends, and they're like, "Oh, wow, awesome, nice to see you." And I'm like, "Oh, hey guys, man, it's totally. Oh, wow, yeah, I'm coming. Yeah." I was like, and so it's like for me, it's already there, but we are just energetically preparing ourselves to move into that. But there's a lot of work being done. I'm joining a group of people who are sending a lot of healing energies to the Earth. I see this huge column of energy that we're all healing into, and it's just blasting down to the physical 3D Earth, and a lot of changes are happening because of it. And so, unfortunately, my that level of frequency and that level of energy, I can't maintain that for like a long time. So I think the longest I've ever stayed, it has been 10 minutes or something like that. So then after that, I can feel the vibration drops and I come back into the body. And so, but anyway, this place I've been visiting many, many times over the years, for decades. And it's always the same. And it's very, very, it feels like a lot of ascended masters are hanging out in those layers. And so my analytical mind wanted to understand what is all that about. And so I actually started researching. I found out that there's some people who are talking about the higher vibrations, the higher dimensions are actually up in higher layers because you have a bigger body, everything is bigger, and you are expanded in consciousness, so the whole planet is also bigger. And so when I heard that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've been visiting many, many times, and it's a beautiful place. And so maybe, I mean, I'm just speculating now, but when everybody says, oh, I want to go back to heavens, or when they point to God or to anything higher, they always point upwards, right? Why is it we do that? And I think it's because intuitively we know that there's worlds. The whole planet also exists in these layers. And so this has been my own direct experience that this is how it works. And so, yeah, I don't remember your question. Did I answer your question?
Oh yeah, you did. That's just a confirmation for me to realize there's a multi-dimensional level of where we're at. So we may have a fifth dimensional self in the new earth. And we're going to transition into that, and I don't know how it's going to happen, but I guess we're going to merge and into that new reality. And that's just
you can see if you want to have some kind of proof of that we are not wacko sitting talking about this. You can go and actually find there's a lot of recordings showing the Tibetan rainbow body activations, and people basically disappear from this dimension. The only thing that is left is like their clothing and maybe some artificial teeth if they had that or something like that. Yeah. And so people, and also there's pictures on the internet of people where you take a picture of them and the picture goes through them. You can see things behind them, and so they become transparent. And also, I was doing an interview with Ananda Bosman on our podcast, and he disappeared in front of people, in front of many people, and I think even several times. And that's because when we're moving into these higher levels of consciousness and dimensions, you are not visible for the normal third dimensional reality anymore.
Wow.
And by the way, that's the whole UFO thing as well. They're phasing in and out of this existence. So this is completely normal. I mean, this is not even, for me, it's not difficult to understand.
Yeah.
There's Tibetan monks that they were meditating in caves, yeah. And they got up and then put their hand on a rock, and the hand just melted into the rock. And those footprints and handprints are still there today, and you can go and see it. And people are like worshiping these as sacred places, But what they really did is they just moved into such a high frequency that matter doesn't even matter to them anymore.
Wow, that's incredible. Yes, I have heard that story before, and I'm so glad you're mentioning all this, because we can actually inherit these abilities now if we do the work ourselves, if we're in the moment, and we can instantly teleport, which I've been hearing so much about once we reach to that next level. Or we don't even have to go to another density for that to happen. We can do the work ourselves if we are to attain that rainbow body, to have telepathy, to have teleportation, to change reality as you see it. If you touch a stone and you see a handprint, we have those abilities now if we choose to, and it's just it's exciting to hear that, and to know that we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. And I can even tell you the secret to access these things comes from compassionate love. If you go into 8 hertz vibration, which is the vibration of hydrogen, which is the majority of what the universe consists of, and your heart starts vibrating at 8 hertz, which is compassionate love, you will actually start being able to affect matter around you. So, and there's no thing that the spiritual human consciousness cannot do that technology can do. I mean, all technology is only an expression of our own spiritual handicaps and limitations we put upon ourselves. I'm a little bit happy we have these limitations, because if we didn't, imagine if 7 billion people were manifesting instantly with their thoughts every day today. We would live in a nightmare, right? Because most people are haunted by their fears and anxieties and all that stuff. So until we have a clean mind and a clean emotional body, and we are masters of this world and this reality, we're not going to be let loose. Like, we're going to be like babies with Uzis if we had just been thrown into, oh yeah, you can manifest instantly with your thoughts, whatever you want, whenever you want. We're going to have a problem on this planet if we did that, right?
No, absolutely. And we're still having that problem. Because there's so much division right now, and there's one side of, we're all reaching to that point where we want to get there. We want to have unity consciousness, and we want to have that compassion and live within the heart. And then you have this other, population of the earth, which, unfortunately to say, I'm pretty fairly sure that they're going to split into another earth.
Yeah.
I don't know if that kind of correlates to what's been going on right now.
Yeah. So we have a huge polarization, like polarity. So things are either really, really good or really, really bad. We don't have anything in between anymore. And so people have chosen their life's path. And if anybody listening to this, I know they have chosen the path of awakening and expansion and ascension, because otherwise you wouldn't even be listening to this. So don't worry about that. Now just live it. Live your choice. That's it. But basically, there's gonna be those people who need to incarnate and continue life and learning lessons in the third dimension. And then there's going to be those people who are ready for graduation. And the graduation is going to be either with or without your physical body. And if it's without, no problem. We just graduate anyway, and we can manifest a new body.
Wow.
But it's all, we already made the choice in our hearts. We have already made the choice. It's not like in a way, you also have to go about it in saying you're making a choice every day. You have to be conscious. You have to be nice. You can't just sit and say, oh, I made the choice, and then run out and be an asshole in the world. Yeah. I mean, then you're kind of moving in the wrong direction according to the choice you made.
Great. And that ties in perfectly with the last question I want to ask you. And I always ask this in every interview, and you spoke about choice and free will and how the universe is always catering to us wherever we go. And do you feel like that's the reason why we're all here, or the divine plan, so to speak, and having that choice and free will and being able to create? Or what are your thoughts on that? The meaning of life, let's say.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say that when it comes to the body-mind complex identity of egocentric reality, there is no free will. We are just a bunch of reactions, and it's very predictable. And we may have the sense and the feeling of, oh, but I have the free will to get off my chair right now and all that stuff. But really deeply, you don't have free will on that level. And so, but on a higher level, your soul, your spirit, your consciousness, there's free will, absolutely. And what is the free will? For those who are listening here, they have made the choice of moving towards the light. So the free will is moving towards the light. So it will bring you all kinds of experiences that's going to either teach you certain things, maybe painfully or maybe blissfully, that's going to move you more into wisdom and knowledge and compassion. And so on that level, there's more of the free will of you have chosen a path. But for the body-mind, I mean, I don't know how many people have noticed that not everything is going the way you want. Yeah. And so sooner or later, one day, you're going to have to wake up and realize, well, it doesn't look like I'm the one running the show. So who is and what is? And the sooner you realize that it's not you running the show, the faster you can surrender to what is bigger than you,
Yeah.
to that which is bigger than you. And the sooner you do that, you will start manifesting from your heart and live from your heart. And you will find that it's completely blissful, it's beautiful, because the universe is actually loving you, including the ego you, the ego sense of you. And so that's the first part I wanted to say. And the other part regarding purpose of life, I mean, that's maybe the biggest question you can ask.
Yeah.
So I can only tell you what I think. And I think each one of us are going to have our own definition of things. But if you step out of your small mind and step into the big mind and look at what God is creating, which is you and me and everybody and everything and every blade of grass and all that stuff, what is the purpose of all this? I feel that God is love, and God is light, and God wants to see itself as love and light. And so it has to create some darkness and some duality. And also it needs to create many, 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 many eyes and ears and skin and sensations and all the senses, so it can experience itself in so many ways and forms as possible. And so I think all creation is here to marvel at itself as itself. And I also think the purpose, if there's a goal like where we're moving towards, I think if you look at some of the basic fundamental aspects of love, and love is not good with distance. Love has longing if there is a distance. And so love wants to merge and unite. And so I think once we step into higher levels of consciousness, we become conscious of that. And that's why we start talking about unity and compassion and love and all stuff, because we're actually yearning to go home. We want to go home. We want to merge, and we want to become one with, because our essence is love. And so there is a longing in us. There's a longing for the ascension. There's a longing for awakening. There's a longing for coming home, your real home. And there's longing for perfection, all that stuff. So I think that the primordial driving force is love. And you can actually ask yourself then, well, why is there so many evil people out there? Well, you can say love is expressed in every single living creature, and for some, it's a very, very low density expression. And so, there's people who are loving money, and so they take the money away from everybody else. And so there's a different level. And so the more conscious you are when you express your love, it becomes much more inclusive of everybody else. So it's more purified and refined form of expression of love. But I think the foundational expression of all of the universe and its goal is to merge and come back home.
That's beautiful. That's very, very well said. And I'm speechless. Yeah, that's what we're all longing for. And
yeah.
And
I mean, you just want to love and be loved.
Yeah.
Deep inside, that's all you want.
Absolutely.
That's all you want. There's nothing else. I mean, everything else is just distortions. It's that simple. And so every time we meet people who are angry at us or project some stuff or whatever, just remember there's a little child in them crying, just wanting attention and just want to be loved and loved.
Yeah.
So it's more. So this thing with forgiveness is not actually even necessary, because you start seeing the unity of everything and you start understanding why everything is the way it is. There's nothing to forgive. How can you ask somebody to forgive who is actually you? It's an extension of you, and all they do is they're doing their best out of love in their definition of love, their level of understanding of what love is.
Incredible. So where can we reach you, Josh?
So basically, I'm on. We have a website. I'm working with Casper from EVER. We have EVER.is. That's our website. And I'm also on a Facebook group, EVER Tribe. So EVER Tribe, TRIBE, EVER Tribe. And so I'm in on that Facebook group, and I'm writing in there almost every day. And so if people want to reach me, I can be reached in there. And we are also going to be releasing a water product. We're gonna, because I've been, since my near-death experiences, I've been so obsessed about water. It's crazy, and it's the reason for that is because the whole ascension process. So there's a spiritual component to it, but there's also a physical component to it within your nervous system, and the energy is flowing through your body and all that stuff. And since if you count the amount of molecules in your body, and you count 100 molecules, you'll say water, 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 99 times out of 100. One will be calcium or zinc or something. But 99 out of all molecules is a water molecule. And so water plays a crucial role in this awakening process that we're going to go through on this planet now. And water is the conductor of, it holds consciousness, it holds memory. There will be no DNA forming or changing without water. Water is the container of so much information. It is crazy. I mean, so both me and Casper are super excited about water, and we are here in Ecuador drinking really high quality water from the mountains. We are doing all kinds of things to the water, spinning, vortexing, and structuring the water, energizing it. And what we have done, because we know it's such an important aspect of this whole awakening process, that we have made a whole video course of 18 plus hours where we are basically geeking out on the sun, consciousness, and water. Ooh. And all the science, technology, everything. And we even made it in such a way that if you want to biohack your water, if you want to make it epic, you can do so even if you live in a big city, and it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. You just need to understand what water is first. Then you know what to do. And so we made this epic video course with 18 hours plus of many video modules where people sit down and watch this, and they're going to get guided by me and Casper throughout the whole process. I'm very excited about it. I'm super proud of the product. This is maybe some of the best creations I've ever made in my life. It's really awesome.
God. Yeah. I'm excited just hearing about it. And, water plays a big part in my life as well. And, it's just, we're all excited for that, Josh. And thank you so much. And, I'll definitely put all the links for your website and also for your Facebook page on the description box, so they can, once it's released, then they can know where it is. And then obviously like the modules that you spoke about with the videos, and I want to see that too now.
Yeah. So and we're gonna release it I think in 2 weeks from now, 1 or 2 weeks from now, we're gonna release a whole free section. It's gonna be a whole module 1. And all the basics we release for free with an ebook, and you can go on the Facebook group and you can see a lot of stuff in there as well. So anybody who want to not spend too much money, they can still get a lot of information this way.
Amazing. Wow. So there you have it, guys. Joshua Dharma speaking about consciousness, speaking about his experiences from the other side, speaking about this whole ascension process, what we're going to go through, and just helping us to prepare for what's to come. And, thank you so much, Josh, for being here and sharing your insights, your stories, your experiences. It's always a pleasure listening to you. And, I send you so much blessings and love and just, light.
I can feel it. Thank you so much. Yeah. And likewise. And I had a lot of fun in here. It was really nice to talk to you.
Awesome. All right, guys. Awesome. So, yeah. All right, guys. So that does about it for this episode. Like Josh said, man, we're all in this together, and we wouldn't be here without you guys. And thank you so much for listening through and, taking the time for that, and liking, commenting, subscribing, and connecting with each other. We're all in this together, and I'm so thankful to have Josh on the show, and thank you guys for everything as well. It's always a pleasure doing these episodes with you guys, and you know, I feel it as well. Things are ramping up, so we just got to do the best that we can with connecting with each other and just helping each other out in this time, this critical juncture. And whatever happens, you know, with the sun, we just got to do the best we can and prepare and do what we can to help each other out. So yeah, that's all I can say for now. So until next time, guys, you know, I hope you guys have a great day, and yeah, I'll see you guys on the other side. Peace.